Are Black Bolt and White Flare calming some of the Pokemon hype down, or is it just making it worse? Though before we get into this video, I'm actually gifting this Iron Valiant special illustration rare to one subscriber. Now to know if you won, if I do reply to your comment with this shiny Magikarp emoji, then congratulations, this awesome card is getting sent your way. And hey, if you are a fan of giveaways, I actually am going live on Whatnot and giving away a heap of Pokemon booster packs, including Destined Rivals, Journey Together, and Twilight Masquerade, on 30th of July, 6 PM Australian Eastern Standard Time, and I'll speak more about that awesome giveaway later in this video. Though Black Bolt and White Flare have been an interesting set. Reason A, it's a little weird seeing such an insane amount of hype for Generation 5 because Gen 5 was one of the most clowned Pokemon generations of all time, especially back when it released. Though reason B, the prices to get Elite Trainer boxes have been insane, so it is weird seeing ETBs still selling for such a marked up price, and it makes you wonder whether or not this set is a bubble or if this set has genuine demand going through it. Because Prismatic Evolution's demand made sense. It had all the evolutions, and the fact that it was Evolving Skies 2.0, it always had a huge fan base to meet that demand. Though this one feels different, and maybe that's just because I've always seen the reception of Generation 5, and maybe I just haven't adjusted to the fact on how people's preferences have changed. I mean, back when I played Generation 5 games, I just grew up with everyone clowning on Gen 5, and I know a lot of people have changed their minds on the games, though it really does feel that everyone just had the same idea at the same time thinking, hey, Generation 5 is incredible. Anyway, before I get into the prices, I think it's important that we look at the pull rates for these sets because there's some important information there. Now, the pull rate data is something we actually really need to look over when talking about Black Bolt and White Flare. Now, I know probably a lot of you are wondering right now, hey Phil, what's going on? Your studio has completely changed, and that's right. I've actually moved 2,000 kilometers away from where I was living, and this is my new space, and I spent a very long time building this to making sure the feng shui is all good in here. And you know, my partner really helped me build it out, and this is kind of the vision I had when I had my channel, to be giving you this kind of space, because like I said, I don't like having a heap of booster boxes in my background. I like that kind of fresh, healthy, vibey energy. And actually where I'm living right now is far hotter than where I was living before. I'm actually in a far hotter part of Australia. So Singlet Phil will make an early appearance back. I know you've missed him. He's been away for a while, but believe me, it is getting hotter here. And I can already see, give it a month or so and Singlet Phil will definitely be back. But as I'm saying right now, when looking at the kind of pull rates and the data that we have, this is assuming that we're looking at Black Bolt and White Flare having the same pull rates. And we can see that the pull rates for Black Bolt, White Flare are far better than a lot of other sets, and of course they should be because the vast amount of illustration rares within this set and special illustration rares. So as you know, every single Generation 5 Pokemon has an illustration rare or an SIR in this set, and of course we can see right there, illustration rares are 1 in every 6 packs. Moving on to the Master Ball foil cards, they are 1 in every 19 packs, and of course when we're moving to special illustration rares, they're not exactly that much easier than previous sets. They are 1 in 80 packs. So, you know, usually illustration rares are 1 in every 13 packs. So we can see 1 in every 6 packs, illustration rares are much easier. But of course, your special illustration rares are still very difficult. So moving on to the Black Bolt Elite Trainer box. And this is where it gets pretty interesting because this set is very expensive kind of when it released. I do think the set is amazing, okay? When you look at all the artworks within this set, it is incredible, right? The caliber of artworks is wild. So here I'm just on the Pokemon Center exclusive version for the Black Bolt Elite Trainer box. Now you can see at pre-release prices or when everyone wanted the set, it was selling for $363 US. You know, paying that for a Pokemon Center Elite Trainer box, you know, like I said, man, banana behavior, right? The bananas pay those prices. You never want to really be paying that much for, you know, a Pokemon Center Elite Trainer box. That's wild, right? But we can see right now it really has dropped down quite steadily, selling for $161 US, which is a little bit more normal in terms of pricing for a Pokemon Center exclusive Elite Trainer box. It's definitely more expensive than where a lot of people would like it to be, but nonetheless, that's still a little bit more attainable than, you know, $350. Now, one of the most expensive cards from Black Bolt is the Victini card. And of course, you can actually pull this card in both Black Bolt and White Flare. They both offer this card with a different number on there as well. This one is 171, though you can see it's selling for 448 US. That's the current market price for this card, which is pretty insane because you can see the shift has happened. I speak about this a lot. If you follow my channel, I always talk about this. Don't worry about what's trending at the moment because things come and go. This Victini right now is nothing like a special illustration rare. It has its own kind of aura about it, and you can see it is a very expensive card. Now, while speaking on these prices, as I mentioned earlier in the video, I actually am going live on Whatnot on July 30th, 6 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, and I'm giving away a stack of Pokemon booster packs, including Destined Rivals, Journey Together, and Twilight Masquerade. Now, today's video is sponsored by Whatnot. Now, if you've never used Whatnot before, Whatnot is a live shopping platform where users can bid on products in real time. Pokemon and trading cards are a huge part of Whatnot, and if you've never tried it, you can just join my giveaway and selling stream to try it out. And previous giveaway winners have pulled some huge chase cards, including the Greninja SIR and Cynthia's Garchomp as well. Now, what's awesome is that all new users get a free $15 credit when signing up using my link. So feel free to join my giveaway and selling stream on July 30th, 6 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Sign up by using the link on screen or just scan the QR code appearing right now. A big shout out to Whatnot for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get back into it. Now looking at the Zekrom, which is the new black-white rare, and this is, one of the top chase cards from Black Bolt. A lot of people are kind of really hoping to get this card. It looks pretty cool, and of course, because it is so rare and so in demand, a lot of people want this card. Can see it's selling currently for 467 US, so definitely an expensive chase card, but then again, how long can this last as well? If you are new to the hobby, when a set releases like this and it's a brand new set, a lot of people jump on it straight away. A lot of people just want to go for it, immediately. But you do need to let it bake in. You do need to see where prices level out. Same thing when we're looking at the Zekrom special illustration rare. You can see in that early little time frame we have here, it is trending downwards quite rapidly. And of course, people are finding the prices for these cards. The special illustration rares aren't the most crazy difficult to pull. They're 1 in 80 packs, but of course you can see it is coming down. The kind of pre-release price was $337. Don't make me say it. I'm gonna say it. Okay, banana behavior. How many times do I need to tell you? But anyway, we can see it has come down to 291 US. But of course, $40, has been wiped off it. And I do imagine as people get their feet with these cards, when people kind of see where they're gonna go, collectors will make decisions on what they're willing to pay. Destined Rivals cards are still pretty expensive. These cards are looking great as well. But then again, when you have so much quality coming at you, people are just making decisions on what they want to pay a lot of and what they don't want to overpay on as well. Now, interesting one is the Seismitoad. Really awesome artwork. I think when you're looking at that artwork, it really does stand out. It's an awesome kind of card. And this one has kind of gone the opposite of the Zekrom, which you can see selling for 63 US on pre-release. Right now selling for $82. I do think there is a big opening for these obscure Pokemon now as well. And as you can see, selling for $82, that's a pretty decent price. And the Kyurem special illustration rare as well. Really cool artwork, selling for 130 US. Right now selling for $72. So this one has definitely fallen quite a fair bit. And like I said, a big reason for that, I feel, is because collectors' preferences are kind of just shifting at the moment. And again, don't forget, we just have so many special illustration rares. What do you even consider a chase card at this point? Because we have so many amazing artworks from the Scarlet and Violet era. And a cool little illustration rare here is the Haxorus, pre-release selling for 63. And you can see this one's selling currently for 50 US, which is still pretty good of a price point considering illustration rares are quite easy to pull. But then of course, when you're trying to find that specific illustration rare, it gets pretty difficult, right? Now I'm on the White Flare Elite Trainer box. Now this is just the base version, but you can see it was selling for $199 on pre-release. But as you can see, and we're going down, currently selling for $91, which I do think is a pretty decent price for a base ETB. Before this whole crazy hype started, you could get ETBs for, 50, 60 US. So it still is far more than what a lot of people people are comfortable paying, but at least it's somewhat in the more, like, if you want to buy it, you can. I think Prismatic Evolutions, when, you know, people were looking at $150 for a base ETB, that's where it gets very hard to make a decision whether you want to collect or not, because, you know, the prices are just out the realms of common sense. And of course, the Hydreigon Special Illustration Rare, which I think is one of the coolest cards from this set. Really awesome artwork. But then again, selling for $205 on pre-release. A lot of people expected a lot for this card, and right now selling for $116. And you know what? When we look at the Surging Sparks Hydreigon as well, I do remember early days, a lot of people thought that would be one of the top chase cards from Surging Sparks, and really, it never really performed that well either. Though I have to admit that this artwork is far better, and it is a few leagues above that artwork, so it is going to be interesting to see where this one goes. I would be monitoring this one as time goes on, but of course we don't know where these prices are going to really level out. Now moving on to the Reshiram Black White Rare, we can see selling for $498 US. Right now is selling for $471. So these cards here, the black white rares, are holding their positions. Collectors like these new cards. I do think it's given this kind of new fresh energy to the TCG. I think people who want to collect these cards are more excited for these. It's kind of funny because with SIRs, you have like a pretty much free canvas. You know, any artist can draw a Pokemon however they want, but there you go. You can see sometimes the basics of what collectors want, and this is kind of showing you that as well. If something is rare, it usually gets the price point. And the Reshiram Special Illustration Rare as well. Such an awesome artwork. And I think Black Bolt and White Flare have just created such amazing artworks. And, you know, it is a finale set. Like I said before, it reminds me so much of Crown Zenith because it is the final set of the Scarlet and Violet era, and it really does feel like that. It makes you kind of feel like, hey, this is the closing chapter. Now, whether or not it is the final set, we don't know because we don't have much news of Generation 10. Whether or not the Mega Evolution sets and the future Mega Evolution cards, are they just going to go continue into, like, you know, Legends ZA and explore that for a little bit? Are these new sets going to be like that? I'm not sure where it's going to go. I do know when the last Pokemon Legends game came out, you know, Astral Radiance was one of the first sets to break away into that, but Astral Radiance was still so much more into Generation 8 as well. It never kind of broke into Generation 9. I do wonder what is going to happen. Are we going to get a Generation 10 reveal kind of sooner rather than later? Because even though a lot of people are confirming that it is the end of the Scarlet and Violet era, it does make you kind of wonder what's going to happen now. Because, like, what's the kind of next move for the TCG? Is 2026 just going to be focused on Legends ZA expansions? You know, I'm really interested to see where the TCG goes, because it does feel like the Scarlet and Violet era has closed a little bit early, considering we have no Generation 10 to kind of work with. And of course, the Whimsicott Special Illustration Rare, selling for $42 US and now selling for $39. So no real movement there. You know, it has held its position as a $40 card, though of course it is an SIR as well. And of course, Whimsicott as well. Very, very loved in competitive Pokemon. So, you know, it is cool to see it have a special illustration rare. Whether or not it's going to get more in the price point, whether it's going to go down, we're going to have to see how it goes. Now, a cool little card here is the Zoroark illustration rare, selling for $40 US on pre-release, selling for $32 at the moment. Not a huge price reduction, but of course, collectors are finding what they're willing to pay for these illustration rares, and they are more common. But of course, when you have so many illustration rares, when you want to kind of find the specific illustration rares, that's when they get pretty expensive. Now, also, Generation 5 was an interesting generation, though I do think when it released, it was quite overhated. But do you know what was never really overhated, and it was just really fairly criticized? It was Pokemon Dash. And in fact, Pokemon Dash was the first Pokemon game that came out on the Nintendo DS, and it's one of the biggest failures in terms of the Pokemon gaming space. However, do you know why Pokemon Dash failed? Well, I break it down all here on my second channel called Philip's Trick Room. In this video, I explore Pokemon Dash and I go over the reason why it failed so badly. If you love the history of Pokemon games, click on that video right now to learn more about that topic there, and I'll see you on that video.